Hello, in this lesson we are going to go over the division properties of exponents. So a couple of things that we need to make some assumptions about. We're assuming that in all of these problems the variables are not 0 because that would cause a lot of errors, and then also anything divided by itself is 1, and anything times 1 is that self. So 1 times 5 is 5, 100 times 1 is 5, 1 times a is a. So for the first one here, a to the fifth, sometimes we use the division, but we like to rewrite them using the fraction bar. So it would be a to the fifth over a to the third. And just like we did with the multiplication, what we're going to do is expand both the a to the fifth and the a to the third. So the a to the fifth would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a's, a times a times a times a times a, and then a to the third would be 3 a's. Now, because we're using this assumption here, anything divided by itself just turns into a 1. So that turns into a 1, a over a, that turns into a 1, and that turns into the 1. So for our final answer, we get a to the, not second, fifth, the second, there we go, for the first one. So that's what we're going to do. Now, sometimes it's really important to note that the two a's are in the numerator, so when we write our answer, they need to be in the numerator. Okay, so some other examples. So we're going to do x to the fifth, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over x to the first power. And so that would just be, again, we're just crossing them out. So that would be 1, and 1 times anything is itself. So we can just kind of mark it out since the rest is multiplying. So we have left is x to the fourth. Now for the one below, remember that it has to be the same thing divided by itself in order for it to turn to a 1. So when we look at this one and we expand it, the first thing you're going to want to do actually with this one, because we have some coefficients, we have this 6/3, is we're going to simplify that fraction. So we'll simplify the fraction here, which is 2 over 1, and then I have 4 y's and 6 z's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have 1 y and 4 z's. And so from there, y divided by y is 1. Now we have to look at the z's. Z divided by z is 1, z divided by z is 1, z divided by z is 1, z divided by z is 1. And so what we have left in the numerator is 2 y to the third z squared over 1, which is the same thing as 2y to the third z squared. Okay, so here's like one with the practice, and this one's important too because it looks a little bit different. Oops. So when we're going to simplify the fraction first. So 5/10 simplifies to 1/2. And so then we have 3 x's on the top, 4 y's on the top. We have 2 x's down here, 6. So it's really important like where they are located. And then from there, x divided by x is 1, x divided by x is 1, y divided by y 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 is 1. And so what we have left in the numerator is 1x, or just 1 times x, which is just x. What we have left in the denominator is 2, and then y times y, so y squared. We know that we've got it in simplest form when we have within one term. We have one variable, so we have 1x, 1y, and everything's simplified. So in one number, which in this case would be 1/2, or just the 2 in the denominator. Okay, here's another one to try. So if we're trying to, again, we're going to simplify this fraction first. So that's going to simplify to -5 over 9 when I divide them both by 2. I have 1a and 2 b's. I have 4 b's and 1 c. And so then when I go to simplify it, there's no a's that are going to cancel out. They don't turn to 1, so we have 2 b's in the top and 2 b's in the bottom. And so in the numerator we have -5a, and in the denominator we have 9b times b, which is b squared, and then c. For that one. Okay, and then like here's a little challenge one, and then we're going to do this one where it's kind of multi-step. And so when you have multi-step ones, the first thing I do is I get rid of the zeros, exponent of 0. So in this case, that would take care of that. C to the 0, it's just going to turn into a 1, which means we're going to multiply by 1, which means it's whatever's left over. After that, I'm going to move the negative exponents. So here we have a negative exponent. So I'm going to move that. It's currently in the numerator, so I'm going to move it to the denominator. So I'm going to keep the negative ab squared. And then over 2b4c. And now I have d to the second power once I move it. And now I can expand everything and cross out if I need to. I'm going to put things together. If they're both in the numerator, we put them together. If they're over top of each other, we cross them out. So this would be negative a, b, b, 2, and then 4 b's down here, 1 c, and 2 d's. So that would be, this crosses out with this one, this crosses out with this one. And so what I have left is a negative a over, and then I have 2 b's in the denominator, so b squared, c times d squared. And a lot of times if it's a negative, we yank the negative out front.